Good evening. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting to order today, Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, and Happy New Year to all. Roll call, please. Mr. Valencia?
Present.
Mr. Hollinshead?
Present.
Mr. Lara? Ms. Cabral?
Present.
Mrs. Cordero? Here. We are reconvening from closed session. We had 3 items during closed session. One of them was the review and approval of the appointment of a new person as our public information officer. And Dr. McDuffie, I'll have you share a little information.
Thank you, President Cordero. Just to let everyone know, the Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Samantha Scroggin, Public Information Officer. The roll call vote was unanimous.
Samantha, would you like to stand up and wave? Hey, if you're going to be the PIO, you have to be ready to be in front of everybody. So you got your first taste. Our interpreters tonight are Sandra Carranza and Cesar Ruiz. Happy New Year to you. And our greeter is Benji Alfaro. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. DNC.
Thank you. Okay, and I apologize. I need to back up a little bit. I guess I must be, I don't think I'm nervous, but I guess I must be a little bit because I did not report out on items B or C from closed session, which were both conference with labor negotiators regarding CSEA and SMEA, and very simply information was shared. Thank you for that reminder. We now have someone, I'm not sure who is going to share some information with us about the SMBSD Elementary Bike Program and the Santa Maria Police Officers Association. And it looks like we have Mrs. Grock, and I can't quite see. Sergeant Diaz, thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, and we have a bike.
We have a bike.
Show and tell. I'll be riding it around here.
We all would very much appreciate seeing that.
Is that it there?
And we'll,
Good. Make sure it works for the kid. There you go.
yay.
Papa Wheelie, Papa Wheelie. You might want to sit for a little while because I talk a lot. Just saying. So good evening, board members. It is such a pleasure to share with you an update on the Santa Maria Bonita School District Bike Program and also our collaboration with the Santa Maria Police Department. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the program. The Santa Maria Bike Program serves 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th grade students. And the main goal of our program is to teach students to safely ride a bike. So our program includes helmet safety, and it includes roadway safety. So we're teaching the students how to ride safely to and from school and through their neighborhoods. We have purchased, using ELOP funds, and LCAP funds, we have purchased 2 bike trailers. So there's a bike trailer, a trailer full of small bikes for the 2nd and 3rd graders, and a trailer full of larger bikes for the 5th and 6th graders. And in collaboration with the maintenance and operations department, those trailers move from site to site every 2 weeks, and the PE teachers spearhead the bike lessons for all of those students. So our program has really evolved since we started in 2019. In 2019, we worked with Move Santa Barbara, and they introduced the program to us, and it was on a very limited basis. They provided the bikes to us and came and taught the lessons based on the availability of our facilities. And maybe 2 to 3 schools a year got those lessons. So by 2021, we had started to purchase the equipment for those 2 trailers so that we could more consistently provide that bike program. And in 2022, we piloted the program, gradually releasing responsibility for instruction from SB Move staff to our PE specialists. So we worked with SB Move to provide our PE teachers with professional learning on how to teach these lessons, and then started the gradual release of responsibility. By 2024, our bike program was fully functional with support from BC Centro, which is a business here in town, and they provide the maintenance and the training for our PE specialists. So the way that it works is if you're a brand new PE specialist, you get side-by-side teaching with someone from SB Move, someone from BC Centro, or with our PE TOSA. And then the next year, you're ready to teach it on your own so that we can be completely self-sustaining. So our PE specialists create the schedule, communicate with staff and parents. They do the setup and tear down. All of our students ride with helmets, and so we provide them with hair nets so that we have so that it's safe and secure. Those helmets are fitted to the students so that it is really secure on their head and not flopping around. And then, as I said, the new teachers who've never taught this before will lead lessons 3 and 4. The experienced teachers who've done it in previous years will lead all of their lessons, and they lead them in rider group practice. The classroom teacher comes out with the class. So, when we have PE specialists, half of the class comes out at a time to allow the classroom teacher to do small group instruction and targeted intervention. But for this set of lessons for PE bike safety, our classroom teachers are collaborating with our PE specialists and going out whole group. And we're also inviting parent and community volunteers. They help with the hairnet distribution, the helmet fitting, classroom management, and the classroom teachers actually teach the learner group. And then our community partners who are there for the first year teachers assist, lead lessons 1 and 2, help with the hairnet and helmet fitting. And they do all of our bicycle maintenance as well. So if there are repairs or adjustments that need to be made, the height of the seat needs to be adjusted for a particular child, they're doing all of that maintenance as well, using the tools and equipment that we supply inside those trailers. The daily lesson format is pretty simple. They start with a welcome and introduction, and then they do the head to toe check, the ABCD quick check, and then learner progression. So they really focus on the students taking baby steps on the bike, then giant steps, then they progress to push, push, glide, and push, push, pedal. And I'm not singing the push, push, glide song. And then they have rider courses set up that mimic street conditions so that the kids can practice the arm signals and the safety. So I just want to show you how we progress from the baby steps to the push, push, glide. Steps, ready, go, baby steps. Good, sit all the way down, sit all the way down. Sit all the way down. Very good. So that's what it looks like for our very beginner students who've never been on a bike, and this is what it looks like for our more experienced. So that is our bike program with our PE specialists. This year, we were very, very fortunate with the assistance of Dr. Tammy Castillo-Schiffer to collaborate with the Santa Maria Police Department to provide many of our students with a bike that they could take home with them and keep. And so we have a little video for you of that bike giveaway, and then we're very happy to introduce Sergeant Diaz, who will be telling you a little bit about those funds. So I'm good. I'm going to start by playing the video, and then I'll introduce you to Sergeant Diaz.
On our behalf, we were just happy to be able to collaborate with you guys and getting these bikes to the kids. Last year we did a car show. Some of you may know, and through that we were able to get sponsorships, and the vast majority of that sponsorship money is, well, all of it's going back to the community, just in different facets. So we're happy to sponsor. We were able to sponsor 25 kids through the Police Officers Association in conjunction with the Santa Maria Police Department. And again, this is a great program. We support it, and hopefully we can do it again in the spring where we can give away a couple more bikes. So we're able to get 24 kids bikes this time. And I think we do have one kid here in the audience, so we're gonna give the last bike away from the giveaway. So
How were students selected, if I may ask?
it was, based on my understanding, it was kids who graduated the program that were in need of a bicycle, were selected through the different school sites, and that's how they were picked.
That's correct. We invited all of our PE specialists to offer us names of students who had completed the bike safety program and would benefit from receiving a bike. And then we were able to provide those to 24 of our students, and number 25 is tonight.
Thank you.
And I get the pleasure of introducing him. So he is from Jimenez Elementary. So let's welcome Oribe for his bike. And yes, so we did not bring the helmet with us. We forgot about that. So he will get that tomorrow. And I just wanted to share what Oribe told me earlier, because he said he was a little shy to talk on the microphone, to speak on the microphone. But he said that because he's going through the bike program right now. And so he said that he knew a little bit and now he knows a lot. So he's learning a lot right now.
So thank you for allowing us to share a little bit about our bike program. We really, really enjoy seeing the kids and getting their bikes and watching them ride. And it was a pleasure to share that information with you tonight. Do you have any questions?
I'll go first. Are students allowed to bring their own bikes and helmets if they have them?
Not for the lessons, but they
Okay.
are allowed to ride their bikes to school,
Okay.
and we provide a safe lockup at each site. So we encourage them after the lessons to start riding their bikes to school.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hollinshead?
Thank you. I just wanted to commend you guys on the program and having brought it to fruition and brought it to the sites. I know when my kids were in school, it really was site dependent and dependent on whether there was a teacher willing to put in some extra time and do it really kind of on their own. When my son was at Fessler, Miss Pastizzi did it there with the junior high kids. So it can even go up to that old, but so I just wanted to commend you guys for that. And then also, thank the SMPD for their, collaboration. I think this is a really important way to, have a positive interaction with our youngsters and the SMPD and, really see that, positive, vibe kind of shared going back and forth and that caring. So I was really appreciative to see that, and I'm hoping that the city will, at BC Centro's urging, continue to foresee this as a mode of transportation that's a good option and have better bike routes, better marked bike routes, safe bike routes. I know BC Centro is very instrumental in having tried to do that so far. So I hope that continues, and we'll definitely take the input of SMPD anytime for that too. So thank you guys all for that.
Mr. Valencia?
Does this mean that all of our students will have, before they leave 8th grade, have training on how to appropriately use a bicycle?
So if they are enrolled with us as 3rd through 6th graders, they will get those lessons twice. So they'll get a lesson 3rd, 4th grade and a lesson 5th, 6th. Yep.
And if they start with us as middle school students, then they would miss out on that opportunity. Is that correct?
That is correct at this time, but we are investigating whether we can offer this perhaps as an expanded learning opportunity after school at the junior highs, or even as one of our summer school enrichment programs. We would need to buy another trailer with junior high size bikes, but we can certainly consider doing that.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage that. I think doing it at elementary level, middle school level will just make it that much easier for them to take that next step when they go to high school. It would also help potentially with the congestion in our city, right? Better health outcomes. So I would love to see something like that happen in our middle schools.
Thank you. We'll work on that.
So I would just like to reiterate our appreciation not only to the efforts from our school and schools staffs for looking for this kind of opportunity, and of course to our Santa Maria Police Officers Association and the PD itself for supporting it. And I would agree with what Mr. Hollins had said. Any opportunity to have positive interaction with students is time well spent. So thank you very much. Okay, moving right along. Public comment. Public comments are intended for members of the public to address the Board of Education on items involving the school district. Such testimony shall be limited to 3 minutes each, 450 words per person or subject, and 15 minutes total for each topic. If an answer to a specific question is requested, the board president will, if appropriate, direct administration to respond in writing. To address the board, you are asked to fill out a request to speak form and provide it to the superintendent prior to the meeting. Do we have any comments on any agenda items, Dr. McDuffie?
No, we do not. And we don't have any comments, non-agenda items.
Agenda items. All right, thank you. With that being said, I would be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
It has been moved by Mr. Hollinshead, seconded by Ms. Cabral to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent items. Actions proposed for consent are consistent with adopted policies and approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. They will be acted upon by roll call vote in one motion without discussion unless members of the board request an item's removal from the consent agenda, in which event it will be taken up in the order indicated on the main agenda. Does anyone have anything they would like to pull from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved by consent?
And I'll second.
Mr. Lara moved with a second by Ms. Cabral to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral, Mrs. Cordero.
Aye. Motion passes. Action items. Item A, agreement with Effective School Solutions to provide school-based therapists. And that is Mr. Palmerston, Dr. Palmerston, excuse me.
Thank you, Mrs. Cordero. Happy New Year, School Board. Dr. McDuffie, welcome back. This evening, I have for you a request to approve a contract with Effective School Solutions to provide school-based therapists as needed to support our students with one therapist per school site. In the spring of 2024, we put out a request for proposals to provide school-based therapists, one per school site. In August of this school year, the contract was approved for our highest ranking bidder and our wonderful partner and family services agency, FSA, to fulfill the contract. They were able to place 9 school-based therapists very quickly at the start of the school year, which is the same number of therapists through 3 different contracts that we had last year. So our students were able to receive the same level of service that we ended the year, although it is still only half of the services that our students need throughout the district. As a result, Family Services Agency continues to recruit, and they were able to place 1 additional school-based therapist this week. And so we have 10 school sites with school-based therapists for Tier 3 specific counseling as individual or group counseling, as well as family supports. As a result, to ensure our students have the Tier 3 supports and counseling resources that we need, we have worked to come to an agreement with Effective School Solutions that the term of this initial contract would last through the end of this school year and next school year, so that they can hire and retain a licensed, either associates or fully licensed marriage family therapists or licensed clinical social workers. Effective School Solutions is an existing partner with Santa Maria Bonita School District, and they were one of the 3 partners last year, providing school-based therapists at our 4 junior highs, as well as Jimenez, for the last 3 months of the school year. And so between the 2 partners, we have belief that that will get us to the supports and services that our students need. And so with that, I ask for your approval for this contract with Effective School Solutions.
So basically you're saying they will be able to supply 11 additional therapists, either MFTs or clinical social workers at the remainder of our schools.
I have confidence that they can get us much closer than we are right now. As with any of our contracts, we can't make promises until they've been approved. But I know that as an organization, they are they have a fully staffed recruiting department that knows that this is on the horizon and is ready and prepared to ramp up their hiring as quickly as they can to find very strong qualified candidates, with understanding that we're not hiring existing school-based therapists from other organizations to move them school sites, but this is in addition. What we found last year as well in their hiring is that they were able to hire local to most of the school sites that came. These were individuals who had come through our school system or the high school district, and for the most part were bilingual as well. And so very strong candidates. I have confidence that they can get us much closer, including 3 of our junior highs that don't have school-based therapists right now would be our first priority.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
So this contract is through the 2026 school year?
It's
Is what yours?
let me count. Which year are we in? 2025. It's for the remainder of the 24-25 school year and through next school year. It allows us the flexibility for this. This is for not a specific number, but for what our needs are. And our current needs are for 11. But this contract would allow us, if that number was reduced or increased, it allows us the flexibility. In meeting with our partners, that's an important recruitment, because what we saw last year is they hired 5 therapists for us. They were able to retain them for 3 months, and then because the contract expired, they no longer had work for them. And so what we've talked to them about is, when we're trying to get to this number of fully staffed in our schools, it gives them the opportunity to commit to work over a 1.5 year time period.
And then over that 1.5 year time period, will they still be with the district, or the contract's done and we will have to negotiate again to?
That is still, that would be year 2 of the RFP. So it would be the following year we'd go out to the RFP. I believe the way this is written is that we would look at a renewal following that, based upon the results of the contract.
So the therapists say we get 8 out of more, and the 2026 years coming up in the contract, will we retain all those therapists?
That is for continuity purposes. We don't want these to keep changing, and so what our goal is that they would be hired in place now, and they would continue with the same school sites through the term of the contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that term allows them the better ability to recruit in terms of that, because they can make a commitment to the employees for that period of time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Valencia?
You had mentioned family support among some of the support, in addition to support for our students. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that looks like for our family?
So with my personal experience at Fessler last year, one of the pieces that Effective School Solutions builds into their model is that in addition to the support for the individual student, they also have regular family therapy sessions and support for parents. And so that part of it is not just about the individual child, but the whole support system for that child.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then as a follow-up, how can we ensure that there's at least one therapist per school site? I know it's been a challenge, assuming at other school sites, not just ours. But what can we do looking forward to have that continuity to continue to have therapists year round?
Yeah, I think I think some of this piece, the challenge with hiring very specialized licensed therapists. What we've done is the associate and the fully licensed therapists broaden the application pool. One of those things we may be able to look at longer term is looking at how we work with our partner agencies to create a pipeline from intern to associate to licensed. At this period of time, we've had some conversations, but we want to ensure with with one per school site, they're independent and need that additional clinical supervision. So we want to ensure the quality of it. So one of those ideas might be pipeline, but also having a commitment that's ongoing helps with that as well.
Thank you.
Another factor to that all would be funding and whether the funding continues for those services. I would assume that's not a question. I know FSA is located here in Santa Maria, but where is Effective School Solutions located?
So Effective School Solutions is actually a national organization that serves 6,000 students in 120 districts in 12 different states. So what they have is a local presence. And when we first contracted with ESS last springtime, I know that Dr. Zimmerman brought their local clinical supervisor, regional manager, Dr. Briggs, who's local to our community. She and Rochelle Aziz are presenting at a conference together today, and so we're unable to be here in person. And so they have a local presence and a national reach. And so that's where one of the advantages for contracting with them is they have fully staffed recruitment department that specifically focuses on recruitment and retention of local individuals. And so they operate locally, both in our school district and the high school district.
Thank you. I understand that it has been a significant challenge to provide the 21 therapists or counselors for each one of our sites. So this hopefully sounds promising, and I would agree if they're hired and placed this year, knowing that they will be able to continue next year could be a significant incentive. So hopefully that will work.
Yeah.
So if this is approved, perhaps you can keep us posted through Dr. McDuffie and Friday updates and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? May I have a motion?
I'll make the recommendation that the Board of Education approve the agreement with Effective School Solutions to provide school-based therapists as presented.
It has been moved by Mr. Lara, seconded by Mr. Ricardo, to approve the agreement with Effective School Solutions to provide school-based therapists. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Dr. Zimmerman, or Dr. Zimmerman. I'm so sorry.
It's-
I know.
It's
you
the
still
second
have
time
hair.
today, and I'll take it as a compliment any day.
You still have hair, but don't tell them I said.
But I can't compete with the muscles. So it's the second time today and total a compliment, but thank you very much, Board.
Well, it's your fault. You mentioned him.
I did.
Okay, moving on to item B, resolution of the Board of Education of the Santa Maria Bonita School District declaring results and certifying proceedings of school bond election held on November 5th, 2024, and establishing a citizens oversight committee for all district bond measures. Mr. Beecher.
Thank you very much, President Cordero. I'm excited to be joining you tonight to share this important item. It's a formality that school districts and municipalities have to follow up with their communities after an election. But it is super exciting, certainly something worth acknowledging and celebrating. So there's a couple different things to accomplish tonight. One is that the resolution declares the election results. The County of Santa Barbara certified, and that's the letter there from Mr. Holland. The results of the bond campaign, and 62.33% of voters who brought their voice to the choice on Measure K voted yes. And that is an excellent showing. And that's a tribute to all of the times that we spoke together in board meetings about our facility needs, the prudent evaluation of the options we had for financing, and the very engaged public, the way the public was engaged in the process of developing our facility master plan and its components. And then the effort also to engage the community in building our strategic plan. All of those things woven together created that 62.33%. And when we worked together on Measure T in 2014, we had a 62% number as well. It was just a little bit lower than this one. And so I'm very proud of the efforts to accomplish even more support. As people engaged in this environment, we were very concerned with everything that was happening politically, and our community stepped up and shared their support for our students and the work that we're doing in the school district. So I'm relieved in many ways, but also very proud of this accomplishment for the Santa Maria Bonita School District. So those are the results. I don't have the results for San Luis Obispo County. In 2014, our participation from San Luis Obispo County was unanimous. There was one vote. It was a yes vote for Measure T, but this time no one voted on Measure K from San Luis Obispo County. So I think there are like 18 homes in San Luis Obispo County. I don't know how many voters there are, just a few. But nonetheless, we had a sufficient percentage to pass. We have the certified results here, and this resolution formalizes the declaration of those results on behalf of the school district. Are there questions about this or comments? Okay.
Mr. Ricci, before you continue.
Yes.
Something that's on my mind is, unfortunately, the high school bond measure did not pass. Even though we're all rooting for that as well, because we know it impacts our students, as well, and our community. Looking forward to future bonds that we might potentially need to pass, what's making the difference, right? Because thus far we've had a pretty successful track record in making that happen. Any ideas or any research that we've seen on what made the difference for us as opposed to the high school district?
I couldn't comment on the difference between our effort and the high school district effort because I wasn't engaged deeply in that one. I was engaged deeply in the effort in 2014 and in 2024. It's brand new to me to say 2025, so I'm still kind of confused about which year to say. But in 2024, and what made the difference for us, what made our processes in that narrative I shared on this slide. The amount of time that was invested engaging the community in our priorities, talking deeply about our facility master plan with people from every school at each of the cluster locations to ensure that families could be heard and teachers had the opportunity to provide input to their principals. Principals had opportunity to give direct input to the designers, and we incorporated that in steering committee conversations with multiple members from the community as well. The effort organized by Dr. McDuffie to bring the community in to create a strategic plan that has so much meaning and just commitment to good humanity and treating people with respect and unifying folks around the cause of Santa Maria Bonita helped also with then directly impacting the messaging that was used by the campaign committee, was used in our mailers. So there was a lot of interconnections between those efforts. And so we're talking 2.5 years worth of communication that got measured on that day. And so I know that's what made the difference for SMBSD. And if there's a future effort in SMBSD, which there likely will be, I don't know what it's going to look like because this work changes all the time. But I believe in Santa Maria, engaging the community in conversations about what those priorities are is the way to get them to support it. And I talked to a lot of voters on the weekends. I knocked on a lot of doors, rang a lot of doorbells. I called a lot of people, and a lot of times no one answered any of those things, doors or phones or anything, doorbells. But when they did, I had good conversations with people, whether we agreed or we did not. The people of Santa Maria that I met on those days wanted to talk about what they believed in. And it gave me an opportunity to talk about what we believe in. And there are things we believed in together, whether or not they would support Measure K. That's what I think makes the difference.
Thank you.
I just, yeah, to your point, Mr. Valencia, I think the idea of our unity of purpose, as being one of the focuses that we have, I think our communication is going to continue to get better and better with our constituents, but also, and have our families become more and more involved, hopefully on their sites, and so I think if we do the job that we should be doing or that we've set out, that will be one of those things that are self-perpetuating, that will help to continue to foster trust and positive feelings towards the district and our goals and our purpose in the community. I think that we're fortunate in that. I think because we have one district with all our schools under one umbrella, that unity of purpose and that unity of message was really well received and well delivered. I think one of the difficulties that the high school district had from my wife was on the committee. One of the difficulties they may have had is that it's a unified school district. So there's a broader swath of people that they're really needing to reach out to and get the message to. And so I think that for us is an advantage, but it's something that we need to not take for granted. And I think as we continue to work on that unity of purpose and the communication and the trust that we're establishing, those things moving forward will be, I think, immeasurably beneficial to us. So, Matt, I appreciate your guys' work as I've been through many of us have been through two of these now with you. And so it was really deeply gratifying to see that 62% pop up again, and exciting to see what things we can do for our families and the students. So thank you.
Thank you. And you're welcome. And that's kind of my next slide is kind of also in tune with this. A couple slides, our volunteer recruitment. There are some friends over at Rotary Park getting ready to go out and meet voters. And then one of the folks that I talked to over by Tunnel School, when I walked up the walkway, I wasn't certain I was going to be able to talk to anybody or find a whole lot of support. But the gentleman and the wife and his wife that I talked to were very excited about Measure K. They were very supportive of schools, and they wanted a lawn sign in their yard. So I put it down there and took a picture and sent it to my friends who were out volunteering with me that day to say, hey, we're finding support everywhere we go. And so it was very gratifying. But Dr. McDuffie put out a statement. Thank you for standing with us for the community and championing the importance of education. Together, we are building a stronger, more unified community where every SMBSD student will be prepared for limitless possibilities and achievements, using their unique gifts and talents, developing the skills to reach their maximum potential. It is so easy to support that. It's all there. And again, consolidating that message through the strategic plan helped create messaging around our bond that won support.
Any additional comments or questions?
And so that's the declaration part.
Okay.
And now here's the formation of the Independent Bond Oversight Committee. As much as I know you're excited to have us move on to the next part of the agenda, let me get the rest of it. The committee is formed to ensure that bond measure funds are spent only on projects listed in the ballot measure, so that voters who saw something they supported in there and voted yes will see that happen out in the community, and that no funds are used for any other purpose, including teacher or administrator salaries, or other school operating expenses. And I had to say that to several voters along the way. This won't go to salaries. This won't go to administrators. This won't go. It will all go to facilities. And I'm the guy that makes that decision. And you can take my word for it. To receive and review copies of the annual financial and performance audits with respect to the projects listed in the bond measure as required by the laws of the state of California, and also to provide information to the public concerning expenditures of bond funds. And so that is why we create this bond oversight committee. And I talked about this committee with folks who are concerned about spending. Look, there's going to be folks from the community who are voting on this bond who will be a part of the process to ensure the funds are used appropriately. So this is a really important step in the process. There's a certain structure that's called out in the law. I think almost every district struggles to get all of these folks engaged in the process, but we'll do our best. It requires one member active in a business organization representing the business community located in the district, one member active in a senior citizens organization, one member active in a bona fide taxpayers organization, one member who is a parent or guardian of a child enrolled in the school, one member who is a parent or guardian of a child enrolled in the school district who is active in a parent-teacher organization, and then two other members selected from the public at large. So there's generally 7 members called for in the committee, and we've had 3 and 4 in the past. You meet a couple times a year and you review expenditures to ensure that it's not the most exciting work, but it is important. It is a very important function of transparency to provide assurance to our community that we're doing what we promised to do with the funds that they're giving us. Questions about the structure?
How do we go about soliciting people to serve on that committee?
Great question. What we'll do is there's an application that's included with your packet that we'll post on a link on the website and ask folks to fill out. It helps us identify if they bring special skills. It helps us identify if they're one of those 5 specific members that are called out, or if they're just going to be a general member at large. And so we'll try and get the word out that way. We'll be using the skills of Ms. Scroggin and Sasha Hernandez to reach folks and try and attract folks. And then hopefully in the next 4 or 5 weeks, we'll get a few applications to evaluate, and then we'll bring a slate of names to the school board before 60 days expire from tonight for approval on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Thank you. And
if you know of anyone, board members, that would be interested or willing, or even both, we'd love to have you share the application or just share my contact information with them so that we can get them engaged.
I'm looking at this and I know I read it when I previewed all of this, but the categories, say them once again.
Sure.
Okay.
One member, like a Chamber of Commerce member, one member who's a senior citizens organization, one member in a bona fide taxpayer organization.
Okay, stop right there
Yes.
because I want to know what that means.
So
And give me an example of a taxpayers organization.
Howard Jarvis is one. There is a Santa Barbara Taxpayers Association that has, I believe, an email address and maybe a website. So they could be a member of the Santa Barbara Taxpayers Association, a member of the Howard Jarvis Association.
if you were to go back and look at your ballot or the stuff that came ahead of it, most or many of the measures have for and opposing.
Okay,
And
that's
those
where
those are the folks, generally speaking, who are in those organizations.
I read those things, but I guess I don't pay attention to who wrote it. Okay. I mean, a parent, someone who's in the PTA but I guess our organized senior citizens would be somewhat affiliated with our senior citizens center, if you pay dues to that, or. But as you said, having served on that committee, it was sparse and very challenging to keep somebody, especially for the duration of how long it actually takes to expend all of the funds. But anyone who is listening, and I will indeed talk with people about, hey, if you're interested, this is what you can do. And they don't have to be necessarily located within our school district boundaries.
Correct.
Okay.
The only thing that I see that has a geographic restriction is the first one where it talks about being a part of a business community organization within the district boundaries. So the business or the business organization has to be within the boundaries, but none of the rest of it is restricted in any way.
Okay. Other than having a child enrolled in the district, I would assume you live here, but, okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
So I engaged in these already. We talked about that. Ms. Cordero, you did ask a question that prompted a conversation around the application process. So that's also been covered. So what we'll do next, and we've covered some of this too, post the application to the website to recruit committee members. We need to plan and execute the sale of the bonds. And so we're going to be looking down the road to figure out how much money we're going to need and when. And then after that, we're going to invest the proceeds from the bond in the highest priority projects in alignment with the ballot measure language. And now I'm done with my presentation and I'm ready for any other questions you might still have.
You said we get applications from you if we want to get somebody on this bond committee?
For sure.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, I believe now we are ready for a motion.
I'll make the recommendation. It is recommended that the board approve the attached resolution, thereby A, entering the election results in the board's minutes, B, certifying the election proceedings, adding the premises to the Board of Supervisors of the County of Santa Barbara, and C, approving the bylaws for the Citizens Oversight Committee.
I'll second.
It has been moved by Mr. Lara, seconded by Ms. Cabral. Mr. Valencia. Excuse me. To approve the recommendation to certify the election, have it show in the board's minutes. Certification has already been done by the Board of Supervisors, and approve the bylaws for the Citizens Oversight Committee. Roll call, please.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beecher. Resolution 24-13, approving the absences of board members from meetings of the Board of Education.
Thank
Dr.
you.
McDuffie?
Thank you, President Cordero. The attached resolution must be adopted in order to compensate board members for absences from board meetings to perform services outside the meeting for the district. If the board member was ill or on jury duty, or the absence was due to a hardship deemed acceptable by the board.
Any questions?
I'll move to adopt 2413. Resolution approving the absence of board members from meetings of the Board of Education as presented.
It has been moved by Mr. Hollinshead, seconded by Mr. Lara, to approve the absences of a board member from a regularly scheduled meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero.
Aye. Resolution 24-14, approving the absences of board members from meetings of the Board of Education.
Yes, same summary. The resolution is adopted so that board members can be compensated for absences deemed acceptable by the board.
A motion, please.
I'll go ahead and move that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 2414, approving the absence of board members from meetings of the Board of Education as presented.
It has been moved by Ms. Cabral, seconded by Mr. Valencia, to adopt Resolution 24-14, approving the absences of board members from meetings of the Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero.
Aye. Resolution 24-15, Black History Month. Dr. McDuffie?
Thank you, President Cordero. Black History Month is celebrated throughout the month of February to honor and celebrate the contribution and sacrifices of thousands of African Americans who have contributed to shaping the nation and its culture, its rich culture, heritage, triumphs, and adversities that are part of our country's history. The month is dedicated to recognizing the meaningful impact that individuals of African descent have made to enrich American culture, expand democracy, strengthen families, and make a better society for all. The 2025 Black History Month theme is African Americans and Labor, touching on the invaluable contributions of African Americans in the workforce. To commemorate Black History Month, Board of Education is asked to review and consider for adoption the attached resolution.
Any questions or comments? I know for the past several years, we have been presented with quite a listing of all of the resources that are available for our staff members to use during this month. And anyone who has been using them over any length of time can probably adds one or two new things every year. So I think we have a wealth of those things available to our staff members.
Yes, President Cordero, if I can just add to that, Education Services and Assistant Superintendent Lo Chung Fu have done a really awesome job. You will be seeing through your board updates some of the resources that we'll be providing to staff members. And again, just to mention our new family member, Ms. Scroggins, she will be out and about to really canvass our schools to see what great things are going on during Black History Month.
I would just add that if there are any school administrators listening, if you are doing anything in particular or classes, please send out an invitation or let board members know, because I know I enjoy attending those things and try to make an effort if it's at all possible to do that and see what's really going on. So is there a motion?
Ms. Cordero, prior to a motion, I did have some questions.
Okay.
So I wanted to know how each of our sites are currently honoring Black History Month. So it sounds like we'll be seeing some of that information. And then what are so related to that, what are our schools currently doing? And then I request some information about like how can we support staff or support sites? Because I'm not sure if each site isn't doing the same thing, I don't think, right? And so how can those sites that maybe would like to enhance their celebrations or their honorings, how can we provide support for them? So that's some information that I would want to get some information on.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are some of the things we'll be doing in regards to providing those resources to sites. We definitely want sites to be use their own agency in how they present and really celebrate Black History Month. And again, principals, we get together with principals on a weekly basis, and definitely something where responsibility of sharing those resources and sharing what's going on at the sites by each of the principals as well. So you'll be hearing more.
Thank you.
Mr. Hollinshead.
Well, and I would just reiterate what we've also said in the past, that it's a wonderful thing to celebrate Black History Month in February, but we're hoping that having those conversations in February carries on throughout the school year, and that we have other curricular offerings that are integrated and not necessarily designated for the cultural understandings.
Absolutely.
That way.
And then prior to a motion, Ms. Cordero, I wanted to invite the board to read the resolution aloud if the board is interested in doing that.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right. I'll take on the first two whereas clauses and then we can go from there. Whereas February has been designated Black History Month by various official bodies and is celebrated as such in schools, businesses, and governmental agencies throughout the nation. And whereas Black History Month is celebrated throughout the month to honor and celebrate the contribution and sacrifices of thousands of African Americans who have contributed to shaping the nation and its rich culture, heritage, triumphs, and adversities that are part of our country's history.
Whereas the month of February is dedicated to recognizing the meaningful impact that individuals of African descent have made to enrich American culture, expand democracy, strengthen families, and make a better society for all. Whereas the origins of Black History Month begins in 1915, half a century after the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States, and when historian Carter G. Woodson and Minister Jesse E. Moreland founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, an organization dedicated to researching and promoting achievements by Black Americans and other peoples of African descent. And
whereas since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month, also known as African American History Month. And whereas in 1976, when then President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month, he urged Americans to honor the accomplishments of Black Americans, including the contributions and legacies of activists and civil rights pioneers such as, but not limited to, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks. And
whereas the 2025 Black History Month theme, African Americans and labor, focuses on the various and profound ways that work and working of all kinds, free and unfree, skilled and unskilled, vocational and voluntary, intersect with the collective experience of Black people. Whereas the Santa Maria Bonita School District recognizes that each student needs an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in his or her own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. And
whereas the Santa Maria Bonita School District further recognizes and celebrates the value of diversity and the richness of cultural heritages within the city of Santa Maria and within the district, and the integral part each of our many communities plays in the overall fabric of our history as well. And whereas the observance permits society to re-examine its role in preserving the civil rights of citizens, and
Whereas Santa Maria Bonita School District affirms its commitment to appreciating, celebrating, and valuing its African American students, and recognizes the importance of acknowledging the history, culture, and struggles of our African American community. Whereas the History Social Science Framework of California Public Schools, kindergarten through grade 12, states that the history curriculum of community, state, region, nation, and world must reflect the experiences of men, women, and of different racial, religious, and ethnic groups, and must be integrated at every level.
Therefore, be it resolved by the governing board of Santa Maria Bonita School District that February be designated as Black History Month.
is there a motion, please?
And so I move that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 2415, Black History Month as presented.
I'll second.
It has been moved by Ms. Cabral, seconded by Mr. Valencia, to adopt Resolution 24-15, Black History Month. Roll call, please.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero.
Aye. Motion passes. And moving on to discussion item 12A, ensuring student safety and privacy for all families. Dr. Palmerston? It's your lucky night.
Thank you, President Cordero. Happy New Year again, School Board, Dr.
Happy New
McDuffie. This evening, I have the honor to speak on a discussion item titled Ensuring Student Safety and Privacy for All Families. On December 20th, 2024, Dr. McDuffie shared a community message through Parent Square reaffirming Santa Maria Bonita School District's commitment to safe, inclusive schools for all students, staff, and families, regardless of race, immigration status, identity, or personal circumstances. Tonight's discussion echoes those comments and shares with our broader community the efforts we make that are founded in our beliefs. When I think about our core beliefs as they relate to tonight's topics, I look at the first two and the last one on our list. We believe each person has inherent value and deserves respect. We believe all people belong, have a voice, and can contribute. And we believe that a unified community inspires hope and faith. When we're crafting our message of support for students and families, we have four key components. First and foremost is that commitment and reassurance to our families that Santa Maria Bonita School District is committed to safe and inclusive schools for all students and families. Second, families trusting their children's education and their safety to us. We reassure our families that we have policies in place to keep their personal information private, both student and family information. Third, we have policies and regulations in place that provide for families to be notified immediately if a request for information or access to student information or students on school grounds is made specifically from a federal immigration officer. And finally, those messages of support continue with Santa Maria Bonita School District providing family support and planning resources to ensure students continue to attend school and have access to all school programs. These four messages are echoed in a board resolution that this board has already made. In March 2017, the intent of the resolution was to make clear to staff, students, and their families that all students have a right to attend school regardless of their immigration status, and to make families and students feel safe at school so that students continue to learn, grow, and thrive in order to become successful citizens. In addition, we have board policies in place, specifically Board Policy and Administrative Regulations 5145.13 that were adopted in 2019. Both the resolution and the board policies have been in place to ensure that the board's commitment and direction to staff is to ensure safety of all students and inclusion of all families, as well as the steps we would take to notify families and to respond to requests when needed. In addition to that, we've compiled some additional resources to help ensure that everybody in our community has the talking points to help reassure our families when they come with concerns or fears, so that they are reassured that their children can come to school and be safe at school. Some of these resources include community messaging, as well as some additional resources that you see in front of you. I think that there is there's a blue folder, I believe it is your English version, and your red folder is in Spanish resources. What you see, these resources have been provided and are available for families at our family resource centers. And on, I believe on the left side, you will see some of our colored documentation where we have family resources, as well as resources for staff, as well as invitations to come to our community or our family resource centers at Oakley and Adam Elementary. The newest family resource center behind Battles doesn't currently have a phone number, so it's not listed there. But those resources for families center around 4 specific things: ensuring our families have resources and information to know their rights. Second, the assistance and encouragement to create family safety plans, including caregiver affidavits. These are good resources for all families to have in the event that their child needs care or somebody else to come pick them up at school. The third is an understanding that keeping emergency contact information updated consistently at school ensures that schools can contact families when needed. And finally, ensuring families know that we have counseling resources, as we've talked earlier, through our school counselors, our wellness coaches, school-based therapists as schools that are available, and our family outreach advocates. I want to share with you, in preparation of this material, how we're also reaching out and ensuring staff have the languaging and support to listen to and respond to families so that they have the confidence in continuing to send their child to school every day, knowing about how we continue to be a safe and welcoming place. All our staff received a detailed email with resources like the ones you have with languaging prior to the return of students. I've had the opportunity to meet with our community partners and review with them our district messaging, as well as work with them to solicit an understanding of what our partner agencies are working on to support families, as well as discuss what they're seeing and hearing that can help inform our support for students and their families. On the 13th, I had the opportunity to train our after-school personnel so that they can respond if parents have questions or request information from them. Our principals met today as well and had some really great feedback in terms of what we've helped create so that they are well prepared and their office staffs are well prepared. Over the next 2 weeks, I have the opportunity to meet with all of our office staff at their regularly planned job alikes so that our messaging is clear, consistent across the district in support of families. And as I bring us back to the commitments that we have, to end this evening on Santa Maria Bonita is committed to the success of all students and believes that every school site should be a safe and welcoming place for all students and their families, irrespective of their citizenship or immigration status. And so with that, the update for you in sharing with our community our commitments to all students and their families.
I guess the only question I really have, Mark, would be, I know we've been in session for a couple of days, yesterday and today. Has there been anything noticeable in terms of attendance for this possible reason?
When asked this morning by the principals, some of them asked a similar type of question. I will tell you from what we've heard from our families here in this office and at many of our school sites, the concerns, our families have real and relevant fears around this topic. And what we found is that when we can have that trusting conversation to empower them with the information I shared this evening, in particular, having a reassurance that their information is private, that we may remain open and welcoming, and that we have resources to provide them has been a really positive reassurance and has helped some who brought fears of, I can't send my child to school. Once they have those trusting conversations, their children attended school for the remainder of the day yesterday. And so what I would say is I can't specifically tell you at the moment what those actual numbers look like. In particular, as we come back from break, we also learn many times about students moving, students coming to our area. But I will tell you from what we've seen in this office and at school sites that our reassurances and our communication to families makes a difference in how they feel and trust in our school district.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
You had mentioned a little earlier about how our district is preparing staff to have these conversations. It sounds like they were sent an email. Is that accurate with some of this information in the blue packet, or what did that look like?
They were sent an email with the resources that I've shared with you. And I did that because in terms of timing, I couldn't get in front of every group prior to students returning physically. But over the next 2 weeks, all of the groups that received that email, they get to enjoy a conversation that I have the pleasure of leading over the next 2 weeks. And so they have the resources, and then they also have the in-person conversations for every single one of our job alikes.
And then related to that, you had mentioned about how we're supporting our families. How are we ensuring that they all have access to this type of information? Because I know sometimes Parent Square isn't always something that, not all of our families are tech savvy in that way. Mm-hmm. So we constantly hear feedback around making sure that we find other ways to make sure that they're getting information. So how are we going about doing that for our families?
Yeah. I'll just ask Dr. Tammy if she here's something I missed that she wants to add to. She and her team are just amazing partners in communicating this message with families. And what I would say in particular, so many of these, we've sent the message through Parent Square from Dr. McDuffie's voice in December. And that's a launching pad for these individual conversations. Many of these come with phone calls, requests for support, somebody coming in and asking for information. And so with that, that really lends itself to us having the ability to provide that trusting conversation and connecting them with those resources. In addition, our family outreach advocates and our family resource centers have a really a connection with many of our families and who already know that those are places to reach out when they have questions.
And I'm just going to add, also the meeting that had taken place with our community partners, right? A lot of families may not feel comfortable in coming to a school or school district. And so it was important for us to have that communication with our community partners. So they have that information to provide to our families. And I believe that we will continue to have those conversations with those partners as we go through the year. So.
Speaking to that, we have a monthly meeting with our connected partners already. And so they have asked that we have this as part of an ongoing conversation with that already built in. And I'll invite Dr. Tammy to add some additional insights into that question.
Hi. So what I'm thinking you're asking for is specific actions, when and where. And so we want to make sure that we're reaching out to our parent advisory groups. So that includes our DLAT group, our Mixteco advisory group, and making sure that they have access to this information. In addition, our migrant advisory parent group will also have specific outreach to them. There was some concern about folks traveling from one of the school sites to a resource center and what that might look like, and some of the anxiety that accompanies that travel from one place to the other, or maybe if there are a lack of resources and the folks aren't able to make it to those resource centers. Our leaders have given us quite a bit of agency and the ability to make those decisions. So if we talk to principals today, and if that is the case where parents are coming to the site but are unable to make it to one of our family resource centers, we will send staff to them to make sure that they have access to these written materials. And even if a written piece of paper is in your language, it still may not be accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So we have folks who are able to help fill out those forms. So our family outreach advocates have had specific training on those forms and how to help parents fill them out. So we're doing all of those different things to make sure that folks have access, not just that we hand them paper, but that we're able to help them access those resources and really make that a meaningful piece of paper. Thank you.
Something that I also learned recently is that Santa Maria Joint has a committee, sort of like a response committee, folks that have understand the protocols, if you will, like should immigration try to request information, regarding a student, for example. They have a committee in place, right, that kind of understands the process. Do we have something like that in place, some type of system in place with our staff, should things like that take place?
Thank you. That is one of the reasons why our staff information flyer was created. The top part of it gives our staff specific languaging and support to have those conversations with families, and the bottom part of it outlines for them the specific steps they would take if a request for information came. Specifically, so you have an understanding of that, is that we would collect all the information that is relevant, and then that information is forwarded directly and immediately to my office for the next steps of review. Our administrative regulation is where I'll point you back to look at the specific outlined steps that the board has signaled to us that we would take specifically for requests for information or access to schools. And so the administrative regulation is a great next step to look through that.
Yeah, I really appreciate this packet you all have given us to look through. I was just skimming it briefly, and it does provide some very, very helpful tools on ways to talk to our young people about this, right? Clearly, this is something that is has to be handled with extreme sensitivity because a lot of our families are living in fear right now. And I can attest to that personally because, my family was undocumented at some point in our lives. And so both my parents. And so this is something that I feel, I still feel the effects of today. And so I want to just ensure that all of our staff are really, really taking some time to do some learning around this. And we are an educational institution, so our families are also relying on us, right? Whether it's justified or not, to provide, right, or at least connect our families to accurate sources of information. And so I was really pleased when Dr. McDuffie mentioned to me that, we're partnering with organizations such as MyCop to provide, some of this information to our families, trusted organizations in our community. And so I want to just let our staff know that, our young people are counting on us, our families are counting us to continue to provide excellent educational services and minimize hopefully some of that anxiety and fear that many of our families are going through. And so I want to thank, the team that has been working on this. It's not something that's easy to work on, but I'm confident that we have the staff and the community support to really ensure that our young people are able to focus on their education and not, unfortunately, on the politics that are currently taking place that are causing so much angst in our community.
I appreciate being able to share this with you, but it is the work of such a big team, as you mentioned, not just within our district, but also our community partners, essential to helping support our students and families every day. So thank you.
And Dr. McDuffie, I'd like to just request some, rather in our weekly updates, some type of, like Dr. Cordero was mentioning, if this is affecting our attendance, if we're getting reports from families. So please keep us abreast in our weekly updates regarding this matter.
Yeah, if we have a dip, and we'll continue to monitor our attendance. This is kind of a strange, not a strange week, but the first week back from vacation. So it may not be as accurate as we continue to engage in school. So we'll continue to monitor that. And if there's anything that we need to share with the board in regards to families or attendance, we'll definitely do that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Dr. Palmerston? Then I will acknowledge receipt of the information and thank you very much. And thank you to all who have been working on this to help our families find their way through what may or may not be a big dilemma. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone have anything to put on the list under new business? Mr. Valencia? No? Mr. Hollinshead?
I struggled with whether to talk about this in the board report versus now. In reading through the minutes from the last meeting, I believe you asked to have follow up on some of the things that were discussed, Mrs. Cordero, in previous public comment or that were asked of us. And then also Mr. Valencia talked about food services report. And so for me, I think to tie those two together, I think I would like to get a little bit of information as to what our health offerings are, because I think is as important as what we serve our kids is their habits and their education around food and nutrition and some of the things that were asked by the public comments around education, health education. I'd like to hear what we're doing, when we're doing it, what grades, and to what extent we're offering information around those things. I think that's equally as important as what we put on the plate, and certainly the things that were asked were very important to the. I think it was Yvonne brought some questions around some of our health givings. So that's what I chose to ask that now.
Mr. Lar? Ms. Cabral? Okay, and I, at this time, don't have anything new to add to that request. So, board superintendent reports. Mr. Valencia?
As I was reviewing our board packet, I came across some of the swim lessons that our students are doing right now. And that gave me great joy to see that our young people are learning to swim. Because it's such an essential life skill. We know that unfortunately, folks, do drown sometimes from lack of being exposed to that level of education. So I'm really happy to see that that's taking place in our district. And my hope is that every single one of our students prior to leaving our district will be well educated enough to be able to at least know the basics of swimming. I think I even heard of a school. I think it was a private school that actually the donor to that school mandated that every single student would be required to learn how to swim because they think they had somebody in their family that passed away because of that. And so I'm not sure if we can mandate something like that in a public school, but if we can, I definitely would be all for it. Because speaking of those essentials, that you're alluding to, John, Mr. Holland said, I think definitely learning how to swim is one of those. I'm just learning how to ride a bike, is one of those awesome skill sets as well. So I just want to commend our staff for working on that. And sorry, yeah.
I just want to add to that. We have been talking with the other superintendents over a year now in regards to giving every student opportunity for swim lessons, swim class. And we are such a large district. The capacity, we just don't have enough pools or enough scheduling to be able to do that. But I know that Ed Services is looking at different ways that we can possibly give vouchers, provide vouchers to families and those types of things to try and encourage our students to swim.
Excellent. And then I also noticed that we're offering therapy via horseback riding, I think, to some of our students. And so I appreciate our district looking at various ways, right? Because not everybody necessarily might connect or be willing to connect to, say, a therapist at first, but having multiple opportunities for our young people to have access to therapy, I think is really great. So I want to commend our district for that, for connecting with resources even outside of Santa Maria, right, to make that happen, because I believe they're not necessarily directly located here. So I encourage you all to continue to pursue creative pursuits in that way, particularly during these, trying times for our young people. So that concludes my board comments. Thank you.
Not a whole lot to offer outside of that. I would say that thank Dr. Eads for her input as far as the swimming goes, because I know that as Orchid has a partnership with the YMCA and has been able to do this, she was helpful in trying to establish a pathway or ideas about pathways to get swimming more integrated into our campuses. And I know we'll be able to hopefully be able to make more partnerships and make that far further reaching. I actually worked at a school where that was the requirement, that the kids had to be able to swim by the time they graduated. Private though also. I just in thinking about what you were saying, Mr. Valencia, about our undocumented families and the fear. I do recall when I first came on the board, meeting with Cause, or what was then Pueblo, now Cause, and it really is there's a pervasive underlying fear or concern regardless of your status, I think. So I think I really appreciate your comments and being sensitive to that, because it really is something that's very far-reaching in the community outside of even our undocumented families. It creates angst in our connections with folks coming onto campus regardless. At the time, it was around volunteering and trying to get that more available to our families and parents. And so I think we need to be really, as you said, very, very intentional and thoughtful and sensitive to reaching out to anybody and kind of giving those that information there so that they can sense trust, and then also perhaps pass on to some of those other families that are even more impacted. But I appreciate your thoughts on that. I can't wait to get back on a couple of campuses. I know talking to my daughter that it was interesting being back. But fun, a lot of excitement, a lot of nervousness. So that's it.
Well, it has been quite a long time since we've had any school in session. So, and as many of you know, my December is largely taken up by my commitment with our Altrusa group, but we did give out, I want to say scholarships, but no, they're not scholarships, grants to, I think, 39 teachers in the Valley, a couple from Guadalupe and in Orcutt. And so we will continue to do that. But on a school-related note, the Santa Barbara County School Boards Association, we don't meet in December because everybody is at CSBA. But we did have our first Zoom meeting last week, and nothing exceptional was shared, obviously, because most schools either were just starting back up last week or were still on break like us. But for the districts that have someone who is able, to join that group, and now it's much easier than, we used to meet monthly, mostly in Buellton, and there are usually 10 or 12 people there, including Dr. Salcido, and then someone from her office who generally takes the notes. It is a really wonderful opportunity as a board member to hear a little bit about what is going on in other school districts in our county. And it has long been very dismaying to me that, out of a county with 20 school districts, we really only get maybe 8 or 10, if that, represented. And now it looks like we're going to have somebody who may be able to regularly join us from Orcutt, but it's been quite a while since anyone from Santa Maria Joint or Guadalupe has sat in, and it is, an opportunity to hear about things that are going on. And while this issue didn't of immigration and assuring our students really didn't come up at the meeting last week, I'm sure as school increases that it will. And I would, I very much appreciate the dilemma that so many of our families are in, but I do want to remind everybody that more than 80% of our students were born right here in Santa Maria. Now, I realize that doesn't mean that their parents are here legally, but, they should anything really happen with immigration. One of the things that I would really encourage those parents to look at, and I wasn't able to read through all of this thoroughly, but, work with immigration to become legal. And then that isn't an issue for your child. So I know, the talk has been at best aggravating, and at worst extremely annoying. And the disruption, to everything is very disconcerting, because our business is educating our students. So I hope that my intuition is correct and that really, all of the threats are meaningless. But I do hope that our parents are prepared to handle whatever may come down the road, because we certainly want our students to continue so that they can get the education they deserve. Dr. McDuffie.
So just real quick, maybe on those county education meetings, you could ask them to maybe survey when it's a better time. When I was working full time, they were always held at a time that was really
Right.
made it pretty inconvenient, or I was unable to attend when I'd wanted to. So that maybe they could reach out to people and see if there's a better time or some other vary it around instead of the times they've chosen. Because I agree, they would be great to attend, but for a lot of people that are working, it's
Can't.
not possible.
Right. I'll mention that at the next meeting.
All right, thank you, President Cordero, board members. I'm going to say it again. Happy New Year. I know it's January 15th, but I'm excited about this 2025 school year. And as we begin, I hope this year brings joy, growth, and fulfillment for everyone. Our district continues its vital work towards our shared vision that's ensuring every student flourishes by discovering their passion and purpose, exercising self-determination, and developing those skills to reach their maximum potential. So one of the significant steps forward is our partnership with Orinda. Their baseline study that was done in the fall in regards to our school programs and practices is nearing completion. And I'm excited to be able to share with all of you the full report available in the coming weeks. I think in February and maybe early March. This data will provide valuable insights as we, Santa Maria Bonita School District, guide our efforts to strive for excellence across all areas. I also like to take a moment to extend thoughts and prayers to everyone in Southern California impacted by recent wildfires and the devastation they have caused. Colleagues, friends, students, and their families out there. This devastation and tragedy underscores the importance of community and resilience in the face of adversity. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to Southern Cal. Closer to home, I recently met with a small group of classified and certificated employees to discuss the idea of unity within SMBSD. And we had some robust and honest conversations. It wasn't a large group of folks, but we talked about how we can work better together, building trust within our organization and continuing to do that, building a unified community. So the dialogue was a powerful reminder of our collective commitment to transforming our district to meet the needs of every student, to be able to take educators from any part of this organization and for us to understand that we all have a common goal and a common mission to meet the needs of all of our students. I want to thank Brian Rickey, who assisted in facilitating this discussion, and to all the staff members that were a part of that, took their time to share their thoughts and ideas. Their voices are essential as we continue to grow together as a school district. Thank you. That's it. Let's make 2025 a year of collaboration, progress, and success for every student at SMBSD. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. McDuffie, and I would concur with all of your comments. I had sort of saved the comment regarding the fires in Southern California to the end, but I do hope and pray for all of those who are in any way affected by that. And so many have lost their homes. Just thinking about families that have lost their homes and or their local school has burned, and how all of that is going to be sorted out and what will happen is so overwhelming that it's very frightening, and it really brings home to me the fact that we are all very vulnerable, and reminds me that not to be complacent about, where we are and what we do, and to think ahead and plan. And, I see us working in that direction. We have lofty goals. We have high expectations, and I hope sincere appreciation for the hard work that everyone does in this district. I know how very much I appreciate it and have seen it for, as most of you know, a very, very long time. So while it is we're hoping for a happy new year, we are faced, as always, with situations that we will come together and deal with. So on that note, is there a motion to adjourn? I cannot hear you.
Yeah, our next meeting.
Meeting is February, it doesn't say there, February 12th. All right, February 12th is our next meeting. And as I do recall, we have 2 meetings in February. So 2 weeks after that will be our next. So again, thank you everyone for your patience this evening with I promise I will be better. And with that, we had a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, aye. Thank you very much.